How you doing, guys? This is a video that I've actually been thinking about doing for a long time, and I planned on sitting down and, mapping out the video and coming up with a bunch of facts and whatever else, but it just kind of popped into my head, so I'm going to do it off the cuff like I do most of my videos anyway. And that is the subject of GMOs, genetically modified organisms. And this is one of those hot button issues that you'll see people from both sides just button heads and throwing out a bunch of rhetoric and hyperbole about how amazing and perfect and harmless it is, or how awful and disgusting and end of the world doom situation it is. And bottom line is, I just want to give you a few things to think about. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of specifics because, like I said, I didn't do the due diligence to sit down and do the research for actual numbers and figures, but that's not really important for what I'm about to tell you, and that's why I decided to just go ahead and make the video. And basically, it all comes down to the fact that, first of all, the term GMO is way too incredibly broad to actually be useful in any meaningful sense. It simply means genetically modified organism. That can mean a lot of things, and it can mean nothing. The way it's normally used, it can include things like hybrids. So a purebred dog could be a genetically modified organism, all the way up to something that is literally tinkered with in a lab to have certain traits that never would have existed in the wild otherwise. And because of that, because the term is so broad, there's no point in saying things using the term GMO. GMOs are good, GMOs are bad. That's no different than saying medicine is good or law is good, or because there can be bad ones, there can be good ones, and the fact that the good ones don't cause problems isn't evidence that the bad ones don't, and vice versa. You can't point to the bad ones and say all GMOs are bad, especially if you're using such an all-inclusive term, and you can't point and say, hey, these things aren't hurting anyone, so obviously any GMO you could ever come up with must be okay. No, both of those positions are absolute rubbish, and you should evaluate everything individually on a case-by-case basis, just like you would with a politician or something. I'm hoping none of my viewers are the type who would just automatically support someone because they're of a certain party, but if you do, you should start looking at the individuals, and that's exactly what you should do with something like GMOs, is you should say, okay, what exactly is happening here? Just because it's been labeled a GMO, what does that mean? What does that mean in this particular situation? Does it mean everything? Does it mean nothing? What have they done to it? Is it something that has been around for 100 years and people have been eating it the whole time and it has no measurable ill effects? Or is it something that they created a year ago and has already started to affect local bee populations or something like that? And obviously those things are going to be completely uncomparable, and there's no reason trying to evaluate the merits of one based on the performance of the other, because they're just two totally different things. So I would completely stop using the term GMO to begin with, and I would focus on the individual product or process that's being used in that situation. That way right off the bat, you'll get rid of a lot of the kind of religious fervor that both sides or either side has, because that's all I'm seeing in the argument basically is, as soon as that term comes up, all logical thought goes out the window from both sides, and you either have religious supporters or people who are basically atheists when it comes to the idea. And you'll see this in a lot of other hot button issues as well, and that sort of indicates that there's not a lot of rational thought being used on either side, or certainly not a lot of detailed scrutiny of the specific issue that's happening. So next time the issue of GMO comes up, ignore the term GMO, look at what's actually being talked about. Most of the time, it's nothing. They're not talking about anything in particular. They're just making a blanket statement that they've decided ahead of time before even looking at the specific issue that just popped up. So avoid buzzwords and terms. Focus on logical reasoning and scrutiny of each individual instance. Let me know what you guys think of some specifics one way or the other, because I know for a fact that there are instances of both. Situations where something that's described as GMO is perfectly harmless and probably even good and beneficial, and there's instances of the opposite where seems like it's a terrible idea based on what we have, the information that we have so far. So let me know of some instances of both. I prefer if everyone come up with one of each. Just let me know that you're not just a cheerleader for one side or the other. But and also that will help you get out there and decide, not maybe get stuck in one mindset. And that's something that I like doing in any situation, is don't always just listen to the people who agree with you. Go out and hear what the people who disagree with you have to say, because not only will that help you discover new things, if they are wrong and you are right, it'll help bolster your arguments too, because you'll start to see the things that they believe and find out the counterpoints, the real counterpoints, not just the rhetoric. But let me know what you guys think about that. It's something that I see popping up all the time. If you're on social media, it just makes me want to move out to the desert. But anyways, just had to get that one out there, so let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later.